right? Where A, H, and K would be the numbers we plug into vertex form. A is the vertical dilation factor. Most importantly, H and K are the coordinates of the vertex, right? So we know we've done a lot of work with that. And then most recently, we've been working with standard form. A different way of writing quadratic functions. F of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c are the numbers that are plugged into the function, right? A little bit harder to graph with standard form. We have to use our formula that I'm assuming all know pretty well now, right? H equals negative b over 2a. So we can take the values of a, b, and c. We can plug those into this formula for h to calculate the numerical value of h. What is the x coordinate of the vertex? We plug that into the function to find k, like we always do. If I have an x value, I plug in x to find y, right? And then essentially, then I'm right back to where I started with vertex form. Then I know the coordinates of the vertex, and so I can make my graph from the values of h and k and a, right? No big deal, okay? So our strategy then is really quite simple. When we want to convert from standard form to vertex form, our goal is we want to be able to, if I start off with this template for vertex form, here's my template, right? F of x equals a times the quantity x minus h squared plus k. I want to just be able to plug numbers in for a, h, and k. And that's it, right? I just need to be able to start with this template and figure out what values am I plugging in to write my function in vertex form. Well, we already know how to do that, right? Look, the a is already done. If I'm starting off in standard form, the a's are the same. So I get one of those numbers for free. The only other ones I need to calculate are h and k, and that's where I'm using my formula for h and my formula for k to figure out what those numbers are so I can plug them into my vertex form template. That's it. We already have all the ingredients. This is, you guys could really do this stuff right now without even me talking to you probably, but let's do a couple practice problems. I feel like that's important to do. Here's one more way to kind of look at this, just a little visual organizer I made for you. So it's like a circle, right? This is like the mathematical equivalent of the circle of life here. I get, not really, but so we got standard form and vertex form. And if we want to go from vertex form to standard form, well, you could do that already. We're going to do more of that next unit, but that just means I'm going to FOIL out the x minus h squared and then, just distribute and add like terms. Just follow PEMDAS to go from vertex form to standard form. We all do that stuff. That's just regular old simplification algebra. We've been doing that for a while. But today, focusing on this other task, we want to go from standard form to vertex form. There are technically two ways to do this. One of them I'm not going to show you now. I'm going to save that for next unit when we need it for something different. So I'm going to show you one way of doing this. We're just going to calculate h from our values of a, b, and c that we know, and then we're going to calculate k from h, and then plug those values in, plug those numbers into vertex form. So here's our first example. Okay, we want to convert this quadratic function up here into vertex form. It's in standard form right now, isn't it? Right? Type in chat for me really quick. What are the values of a, b, and c? Because isn't that where we always start? If we're starting in standard form, we want to write down the values of a, b, and c. Everybody, please. Okay, I'm not hearing from everybody on this. Everybody should be typing values in. Okay, good. So we know a is just 1, isn't it? Because that's the coefficient of x squared. B is 6 because that's the coefficient of x, so it's being multiplied by x. And c is 5. That's the constant. Okay, everybody, oh, I guess I already gave you the formula here, so that's not going to have you write that down. There's my formula for calculating h. Negative b over 2a, right? And so I'm just plugging in values for b and a, right? So I'm plugging in b, the value I'm plugging in for b is 6, and the value I'm plugging in for a is 1. Oh, man, I wrote b. And so what do I get then? I get negative 6 over 2. Well, that's just negative 3, right? There it is. So I get a number. Oh, and by the way, if I'm trying to write this in Vertex form, I would say that the very first thing you do is you write down the template for Vertex form with A's and H's and K's in it, and then we'll just plug in values from there, right? So the very first step in this whole problem should probably just be, okay, let's write down Vertex form. A times the quantity x minus h squared plus k, right? And we're going to plug in some numbers. Well, we already have two numbers. We know a, right? So we're plugging in a value 1 for a. We know h. That's negative 3. The only thing we have left to do is to calculate k. Well, we know k is f of h, right? So h is negative 3. So what do we get if we plug negative 3 in? Here's my function that I'm plugging into, right? And it doesn't look like, it looks like just y, but that's the same thing, of course, as saying f of x, right? F of x equals x squared plus 6x plus 5. So I'm just plugging negative 3 in for my x. So x is being squared. I'm multiplying the x times 6, and I'm adding 5. And the value I'm plugging in for x is negative. So what do we get? Negative 3 squared is 9. 6 times negative 3 gives us a minus 18 plus 5. And if I add all that stuff up, I'm going to get negative 9 plus 5 is what? Negative 4. So k equals negative 4. So those are the numbers that I'm plugging in, right? For a, h, and k. So then I want to know what's my answer going to be. I'm supposed to write this thing in Vertex form. So I want you guys in chat to please write that down for me. What am I going to get? Y equals, I'll get you started. When I plug the 1 in, I don't write it. So I just have the quantity x, keep going. What's my answer going to be? I want to know, what is this quadratic function going to be if I write it in Vertex form? When I plug in the values of a, h, and k into my function, what am I going to get? Everybody write that out for me, please, in chat. There we go. Okay, be careful with the signs inside the parentheses, though, right? I'm plugging a negative 3 in for h, and h is being, there you go, good, yeah. H is being subtracted from x inside the parentheses, right? Okay, good stuff, right? So I'm getting x, I'm getting 1 times the quantity, I don't write the 1, x minus negative 3 makes that an x plus 3 squared plus negative 4 would just be a minus 4, right? So there's my final answer right there. That's all we're looking for, right? Okay, let's try another one. Let's try another one here. How about this one? So we want to convert this to vertex form. So first of all, everybody please write down in chat, what is vertex form? What's my template for a vertex form? If you're having trouble remembering this stuff, there's not much to remember in this class really in terms of just, memorization facts. It's not like you have to memorize all the state capitals. There's only a few things you got to remember, but a great way to do that if you need a little help is to use flashcards. Just get some index cards, and on one side you would write the words vertex form, on the other side you would write the formula, and if you do that for all the little data points, the little facts that you need to remember, if you looked at those once every day or once every other day, within a couple times of looking at them, you'd have these things absolutely committed to memory. You would never have to think about it again. Flashcards are a great way to memorize stuff. Okay, good. So we're starting off with, we know we want to put this into vertex form, which we know is just y equals a times the quantity x minus h squared plus k. I'm plugging values in for a, h, and k. All right, so in chat real quick, what are the values of a, b, and c for my function up here that's in standard form? Okay, and I'm not looking, but I'm assuming you're all writing -2 for a because that's what's multiplied by x squared, 20 for b because that's multiplied by x, and -46 for c because that's the constant. Okay, oh, it looks good. Okay, now type in without looking, what's our formula for calculating h? What's our formula for calculating h? Good stuff. Okay, good. So we know h equals -b over 2a. So on the top, so write the numbers then that you'd get on the top and the bottom of that fraction. If I make those substitutions, if I plug 20 in for b and -2 in for a, what do I get on the top and the bottom? Okay, good. So I'm getting perfect. So I'm getting -20 divided by 2 times -2. So I end up with -20 divided by -4. That's +5, isn't it? So I've got 2 of my 3 values to plug in. All I have to find is k. Write down real quick, what's my formula for calculating k? What's the formula for calculating k? Ah, good stuff. All right. Good, good. Okay, so now I need, this is private, right? It's confidential. Nobody else will see. I need you guys to answer this poll question for me. Can you use the Desmos scientific calculator to find K by evaluating f of h? Could you do this? I mean, you can do it mathematically, but do you know how to use Desmos to make this calculation? I got to hear from you. I'm going to assume, okay, I'm going to take roll today by looking at who participated in this poll. If you're not participating, I'm assuming you're not sitting there and I'm not going to mark you present today. Okay, I got you, McKenna. And if you can't answer polls, just let me know in chat. That's fine. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, if you can't see him because you're on a device where you can't see him, I get it. Just let me know. But I should be getting 15 votes then if everybody else is with me. And I don't have that yet. Okay. Still waiting for a couple of results. Give you just a second more. Okay, so for the most part, yeah, but maybe we need to just go through this process one more time. So everybody watch this very closely. I'm going to remind you how to use Desmos to evaluate functions. We want to use it to evaluate f of h, like you told me I needed to do, right? We know our formula for calculating k is f of h, which in our case is f of 5, right? So to do this, you got to use Desmos Scientific. If you haven't yet bookmarked that, do it. So to find it, you just go into Google and you can just search up Desmos, D-E-S-M-O-S, Scientific. And if you do that, it'll pop up right away with Desmos Scientific Calculator. Click on that. And there it is, Desmos Calculator, or Scientific Calculator Desmos. Click on that guy. And there it is, right? Now, if you want to, I would create an account if I were you. I mean, you can actually save some stuff in there, but you don't have to do that now, just as long as you have it bookmarked. So go up to the star in Google, if you haven't done this yet, or whatever browser you're using, and bookmark this thing. So it's in your account, so it's always there, okay? And then all we have to do, remember, is I just define the function. So there's my function, right? It's written as y, but I need to write it using function notation. So I'll write it as f of x equals negative 2x squared plus 20x minus 46, right? There's the function that I'm using to calculate k. Go down to the next line, and I'm just going to input f of what? Well, 5 in this case, right? Because I figured out that my value of h is 5, so that's what I'm plugging in. So f of 5 equals 4, and that's my answer. There we go. I'll take a picture of this for the notes. So f of 5 equals 4. So those are the three values I'm plugging in. So now everybody write your answer down in chat. What's this going to be? Y equals what? What's our answer going to be if we write this function in vertex form? Okay, let me get an answer from everybody on that. Okay, good. So we're getting -2, we're plugging in for A, times x minus 5, so I plug in a 5 for h, quantity squared, plus 4. There it is. Okay, good stuff. We're getting this. All right, everybody give me a 1 to 5 on this. How are we doing? Okay, good. And I would say the good news is if you're feeling somewhat confident about this process, then think about it. This accounts for 3 of the 5 sections, this information. If you can do this stuff, really, this is 3 of the 5 sections in unit 4, or unit 3. Okay, let's look at one more of these. Maybe 2, we'll see. So we want to write this in vertex form. So what are our steps? Well, first of all, let's start with the template. We want to start general, and then we'll plug in the specific values. So write out the template. And once you do this on your notes, just so you have a copy of this there. So we're starting off with y equals a times the quantity x minus h squared plus k. And I want to be able to plug those values in. So here we're starting off with standard form, and we want to put it into that form, right? So what do we always do first then? What do we always do first here? We wrote down the template. Now what's our, how do we get the ball rolling here? Alara, what do we always do first here? There we go. Define A, B, and C. Perfect. Okay, so let's write those down. A equals -1/2, B equals -4, C equals -5. We know our formula for calculating H, -B over 2A. And look, I can even do that in Desmos too, right? I'm going to be using Desmos anyway. So if you want to, I can start off by just calculating H, right? I could even do something like this. I could do H equals -B. And I'm going to highlight the whole thing and divide it by 2A. And then I can just start with that template, and I can just replace the values of A and B with the values that I wrote down on my paper, right? So I can go up here. I'm going to put the B in parentheses because I want to always substitute in parentheses. And I'm going to erase the B and replace it with a -4, right? So I've got -B, which is the quantity -4. On the bottom, I'll put the A in parentheses, and I'm going to erase the A and replace it with a -1/2. Look what I get, -4 for my answer. Okay. And that, we could have gotten this, right? I mean, that wouldn't have been a big deal for us. We could have just done this mathematically too. If B is -4, then -B is +4. On the bottom, I get 2 times negative 1/2. Well, isn't that just negative 1? 4 divided by negative 1 is negative 4. But there's my answer, right? I already got it using Desmos. And now I'm just going to use Desmos to calculate K. I'm just calculating f of negative 4, right? So let's do that in Desmos. So f of x equals negative 1/2 x. Oh man, what's this doing? Oh, I see. Half x squared minus 4x minus 5. Oops. There we go. And I want to do f of negative 4. I get 3. And so I know the values to plug in, don't I? A is negative 1/2. H is negative 4, right? And K is 3. So I end up with my answer, y equals negative 1/2 times the quantity x minus negative 4. If I subtract a negative 4, it makes that a plus 4, right? Plus 3. And there is my answer. Okay? How we doing? Give me a type in chat. Do we want to go through one more example, or would you rather have this last 10 minutes to just work on this stuff and get some of your homework done? I don't care. I'm good either way. Okay, good. Get going. Work on your homework. I'll be here to answer questions.